Is Call of Duty actively nerfing your bullets while you're playing, and does skill-based hit registration really exist? Today, we're diving deep to see what's really going on. To start things off, we're going to be taking a look at a video by the Catman, the man, the myth himself, who titled his video, Skill-Based Damage Tested. My account got nerfed, question mark, question mark, question mark. And this guy has 80 subscribers, so feel free to check him out if you like what he has to show right here. Either way, let's go ahead and dive in and see what he's got going on.
All right, so we're going to just jump right into it. With the amount of discussion that's going on right now surrounding skill-based damage in Black Ops 6, I went in and decided to actually go and test it myself. So what you're looking at here right now is actually the account stats for the two accounts that I will be using to actually test this theory. So the first is a Master Prestige account. As you can see here, it's like a 1.8 something KD, pretty much top 1% in, career stats.
So before we go any further, I kind of want to explain basically what the idea is. A lot of people believe that Call of Duty goes out of their way to nerf them, right? They think that, well, I'm shooting my shot, it should be hitting, but it doesn't do damage. Or I shoot my shot and it hits, but it doesn't do the amount of damage that it should be doing. People believe that once they hit a certain amount of eliminations in a match, all of a sudden they're no longer able to get more eliminations, or it's much harder to get those eliminations. And it seems like they're dying to people that are much worse. I fully get that. I understand it. I get where you might be thinking that, but I personally don't know how I feel about it. But I will say, I am of the train of thought where we know that Activision, if they wanted to, could do it. Not only do they have patents for it, but they actively do it to people that are cheating in the game once they're caught cheating. So what's to stop them from doing it to us? And that's kind of the thought process that I'm at right now. And I'm not saying, one, I don't believe that they're doing it. I want to be very clear. That's not something that I believe. But maybe today's video where he's talking about one low-level account and one high-level account, maybe he can change my mind.
Eliminations, all of that good stuff. And then the other account that we'll be using is an alternative account. This is my girlfriend's account. As you can see, the win to loss here, the elimination ratio is not.
All right, that's kind of rude, right? He's like, this is my girlfriend's account, and as you can see, she sucks. But we're going to pretend like I didn't say that.
Great.
Crazy.
And it's a very low level account. I think it's like, level 10. And you can just take a look at all of the different statistics. It's in probably the bottom, maybe 10, 20%.
The bottom 13% is what it said right there. Bottom 7%
so,
right there.
What we're going to do is essentially, and I'm going to actually put up on the screen here now some of the different variables that I will be controlling for. Now, I can't control for every single variable in.
So I'm going to remove my camera here so that y'all can see. We have same control variables, same class, same weapon, Nuketown TDM, same player, same time of day, same latency and connection, two categories, full elim and assist. So that means you get the kill or you get the assist. Confounding variables. We have different enemies, different health values, not counting when I did not get an elimination, headshot multipliers, different ranges, and small sample size. So those are our variables throughout the video.
This video, but what I've done is essentially used the same game type, the same game mode. So Nuketown TDM will be what I will be using to test this. Some of the other control variables that I will be using is using the same class. It will be the default AR class, the same weapon, and obviously the same player will be playing on these two different types of accounts. In addition to that, this will also be at the same time of day, and I also made sure that whenever I got into a lobby, the latency was the same. So as you can see here in the top right left, the latency is 5 milliseconds.
However, I do need to note, and I think that this is actually where the whole theory is going to fall apart. I'm going to say this up front, and I don't know how it's going to go or how it's going to affect the conversation, but I'm pretty sure that this whole theory falls apart based on the fact that the latency is a lie. The latency, the server connection, the packet loss, the packet burst, it's all a lie. None of it works properly. It'll say a specific number, and then it'll kind of keep you around that number pretty much the whole time that you're playing, even though it's actively moving the entire time that you're playing. Used to, you could see these kind of things, but now not so much. Now, if you look in the top left, you'll notice that it's pretty static throughout the match. It looks like your connection's absolutely perfect. Sometimes your packet loss will go up and down, and that's only if it's very obvious. However, if you've paid attention to my recent videos, I've talked a lot about how there's server issues where you'll shoot an enemy and you'll get blood splatter, but it won't actually damage the enemy. Now, they got rid of the client side blood splatter. However, there are still hit detection problems because of poorly optimized servers or just very bad servers in general. They have a very low tick rate. They have like way too much of a load on very old servers. So I think the issue here is that we're going to see a lot more of that and a lot less of actual like issues. But I mean, it really does come down to sample size. Realistically, I mean, it's kind of hard to get a large sample size when you're the only person playing. And it does depend on how many games that he plays. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Ping. So should be running on the same connection. It should be running, you know, pretty much the same type of game when it comes to connection. And I'm also going to be categorizing the types of eliminations into two different categories, full eliminations and assists, without saying that there are going to be some confounding variables when taking a look at this gameplay, when analyzing this gameplay from a data perspective. The first one, and probably the most obvious, is going to be the different enemies that I'll be playing against. So the movement is going to be different, which could have a factor in, you know, the shots to kill statistics.
Just to be clear, that's not just it's not, it could like change things. It will change things. People that are better at the game, naturally, you will miss more shots on. That is a fact of life. If someone is slipping and sliding left to right, you will hit them less than someone that is standing completely still, just staring and trying to shoot at you. That is how it works. There's no way around it. So hopefully that is taken into account here, because that is actually a very, very big deal.
Also, you know, every individual person that I'm actually shooting at is going to have different health values. That's going to be really hard for me to assess from just...
Again, another big thing where it's like, if they're getting shot, then, you know, that kind of is hard to take into account.
Taking a look at the gameplay, I would love to go into theater mode and dive a little bit deeper, but with many things in Call of Duty, theater mode seems to be broken for me. So
as a quick heads up, theater mode is a recreation, but the way that the recreation in theater mode works is it's the data that the server got. So the server, like, so you've got two things, right? You've got a client and you've got a server. You are the client, and then you are sending packets to the server. When you shoot directly at an enemy and you get a blood splatter on your screen, which obviously they've removed, when you get that blood splatter on your screen, but you don't get the hit, that is a packet not reaching the server somewhere along the way. And like I said, it doesn't actually work in this game. So there's a slight issue with the actual thing right now where it won't work. Like the top left of your screen, your I can't think of what they're called, but like your latency and your packet loss and your packet burst and stuff like that, it doesn't actually show the correct data. So you won't end up with the right information.
Unfortunately, I will not be able to do that assessment. I'm also not going to be counting when I do not get an elimination. So if I get hit markers and I don't get an assist, they run off, heal up, and then get eliminated by a different person, I cannot count for that, and I will not be counting for that. Also, the headshot multipliers will play a factor in this gameplay for sure, as headshots do a pretty small amount more damage for shots to kill.
It's around 1.1 to 1.3 times more damage. So it is 10 to 30% more damage depending upon whether or not you're hitting your headshots. So that is where skill will come into play. And again, it's hard to count for all these. And I realize I sound like I'm a conspiracy hater. I get that, but I'm also one of those people where I really, really try my best to seek the truth. And if we're presented something as it's most likely this, and someone's trying to say the opposite, we have to think of all the possibilities that could affect the thing that we're talking about. And that is, again, variables that he's trying to mention right here. But I want to be very clear, these variables are very large and change the way that it actually looks and feels whenever it comes to things like skill-based damage.
Now, that's why I'm basically going to be averaging everything out to try to build in some sort of consistency. Also, I'll be playing the same style of play in both. Obviously, you know, that will help control for some things. Another thing that I will mention too is the different ranges that I will be, you know, eliminating players at is going to be different. That's why I chose, you know, a kind of a mid-size, small-size map like Nuketown, because, you know, if I'm beaming someone from long distance, it's going to be a lot different than if I'm beaming them up close. Whereas most of the engagements in Nuketown are going to kind of be in that, you know, small to mid-range gunfights. Also, you know, with this being said, it is an extremely small sample size, so to run a very...
Again, how many games is it actually? Because if you were to run, I think like 100, maybe you could come up with some viable information. But since you're not running 100, it's pretty rough. It's like I can't think of the movie, but there's a movie with Bryan Cranston where they play the lottery, and you find out that the higher the sample size, the closer you reach that. You know, if you're to flip a coin 1,000 times, you might get heads 60% of the time. But if you flip a coin 5,000 times, it'll get much closer to that 50-50 mark. So the big thing is if you have like certain data and probabilities, like it can change based on your sample size. That's what I'm trying to say here.
You know, conclusive study or analysis, we would probably need, you know, hundreds of gameplays, hundreds of kills, maybe even thousands to really come up with any conclusive evidence. So with that being said, you got to kind of take these results with a grain of salt before diving really deep into them. But I think the findings that we have in this video are somewhat significant. Now, like I mentioned, with the small sample size, it's going to be really hard to determine if it is going to be statistically significant. And to be honest, I don't want to go through the full detail of running like a proper data analysis on this. So what I can do is encourage anyone out there to, you know, if they want to collaborate with me to actually run a full analysis, I'd be happy to do so. We can collect, you know, different types of players, different types of skill brackets, and compare the, you know, shots to kill in these each individual games, compile the...
So I think what ends up happening here is, seeing as he's the same player, and the reason that the data will always get skewed is based on the matchmaking system in the game, right? So the matchmaking system will recognize whether or not there's a good player or a bad player very quickly, because it accounts for everything that you do, not just the amount of eliminations that you get and the amount of deaths that you have. It accounts for how often you're running throughout the match, how far you travel throughout the match, how often you use kill streaks, what kind of kill streaks you're using. It accounts for how much you're going towards the objective. It accounts the total amount of score that you have, the kind of equipment, the kind of it literally accounts for the kind of weapons that you have in your class and everything. If they recognize, hey, this is a good build, they're usually going to put you against other people that have a pretty good build. And I know that sounds crazy. It sounds wild, but this is literally something that's been shown time and time again, that they have all this data and will just utilize this data to put you into specific matches. So if you keep that in mind, what ends up happening is, because he's the same player, eventually on that other side, you know, he's sitting in his high skill account, his regular account right now. When he starts playing on that low skilled account, what'll end up happening is, slowly but surely, these lobbies are going to get much harder. So it kind of skews the data on that end too. So that actually will change the control variable that is the same player, because it kind of messes with things. So that ends up being another confounding variable there.
Evidence, compile the data, and compare it to each other. So before I actually get into the different shots and kills averages for each of the accounts, I'm just going to pull up a couple tables.
He's got it right here. Type of elimination, number of shots, high skill account. He's got all this data right here. His average elimination death ratio is 3.1.
Tables here. So this is going to be the first one. This is the shots to kill for a high skill account. So you can see here, this is basically me just tallying up manually all of the different shots registered for this account that we're watching right now and how many shots it seems to take to get an elimination. As you can see, I'm counting 4 full eliminations as well as assists. I think I tracked all of it. It is very difficult, and one thing I will say when watching this gameplay is it is pretty difficult to actually visually count the individual hit markers. The hit detection in this game, if you really zoom it in and slow it down a bit, it's pretty difficult to actually tell when you're registering shots. Sometimes you get hit markers when you're not really even on the players. Sometimes you are on the players and you don't get hit markers. So,
and again, that comes down to the server, that comes down to desync, and even though he is on 5 ping, that is 5 milliseconds. We're talking about 1/200th of a second. 1/200th of a second. We're talking about faster than you can blink. Like, that is the speed at which he connects to the server and it bounces back to him, right? He is directly beside a server. That should be fine. However, the server is poor. All these servers are not good. So they induce an additional amount of latency and you get desync regardless of your ping. And plus, this doesn't account for the other player's ping. There's no way that you as a player on your side can account for every player's ping. The only way that you could do that is if you ran everything on LAN. However, if you ran it on LAN, it completely removes the matchmaking system in general. So it would take out whatever is skill-based hit registration.
It seems a little bit more inconsistent, especially on the high skill account. That is one thing that I noticed almost immediately when playing on these 2 different accounts, besides the fact that I did significantly better on the low skill account, obviously playing against a skill bracket that's lower in SBMM.
Okay, so I mean realistically, like, and again, I have to play devil's advocate here because it's very unlikely. But I have to play devil's advocate, right? So if I mute this, let me go forward just a little bit. Let's see who he's missing shots on here, right? You got him inside a building. He turns around because he sees a guy on the mini map here, right? He knows there's a guy coming. Guy right there misses his shot because the guy slides. Missed 1, 2, 3. He finally hits 4, goes for 5, 6, 7, 8. He gets the eliminations, but he missed so many freaking shots. He missed so many shots. And the issue is these guys are going to be sliding around. They're going to be different kinds of players. The issue with skill-based hit reg is that you quite literally cannot account for the other players. There's physically no way to account for all the variables that come in with all of the other players. It's just not possible. So while we're obviously going to continue watching this video, the issue that I have here is that there's no way to actually test this. And it sucks. It really does. And maybe he comes to a better conclusion than I think he's going to, but it's going to skew a very specific way. It's going to look, no matter what way you think it's going to look, it will end up looking like the high skill account is actually getting like less hits. And it's because his accuracy is less. That's literally how it works. That is just how it works. There's no way around it.
It definitely seemed different. The gameplay itself seemed different. So I don't know what the factors were for this, and I'm only really left to speculate at this point, but one of the things, and this could be very well attributed to the movement between the 2 individual teams. It seemed like the movement for the higher skill lobbies, players are moving around a little bit more, so they're going to be a little bit harder to actually lock on to target. But it did seem like my aim assist in general on the lower skill account actually was stronger. Now,
okay, I don't know if we know how aim assist works around here, but aim assist works in a couple of different ways. You have, obviously, while you're aiming at a target, if one of you is moving, you will get aim assist. That is basically how it works. If they're standing still and you're standing still and you're just scanning, now there's much less aim assist. There's less likely of a chance for you to get aim assist. You will get it. You just will be much less likely to feel it. You can do this exact thing if you go into the firing range in Call of Duty and you test it yourself, stand still, don't move your left analog stick, just aim at the target and sway back and forth with your right analog stick. You'll notice that there's really no aim assist. But if you move or the target's moving, you will notice that you get aim assist, because that is called rotational aim assist. The more that you move, the more aim assist you'll get. So if you're moving and they're standing still, you will actually get quite a bit of aim assist. I will note, if they're just slightly moving or slightly walking, you'll also get quite a bit of aim assist. The issue is when someone slides, when they dive, when they jump, when they do anything like that, it kind of throws off your aim assist because you have a little bubble around that character, right? You've got this little bubble that you kind of follow. So if you're aiming here and the bubble goes up here, you will miss that. You will lose the aim assist. So it's always going to look like, if you're in higher skill lobbies, that you're getting less aim assist. That's why players in higher skill lobbies end up leaning towards better aim. And I know this sounds crazy, but the people in higher skill lobbies learn to actually aim better because they're not used to people standing still. And that's why people in lower skill lobbies are going to feel like they're getting quite a bit of aim assist, is because those other people are easier to aim at within that bubble. I know that's very complicated, and there's a lot of ways that you could kind of try and go around that. I really do realize that, but most likely that is the answer here.
Now, what I'm going to do at the end of this video is actually slow down some clips and kind of just compare and contrast how it feels between the two different games. So here's another table I'm pulling up for, the lower skill account gameplay. As you can see here, a lot more eliminations, right? As you can also see with the actual gameplay, if you just take notice, I'm hitting a lot more headshots.
Okay, everybody is standing. Did we notice this? The other gameplay, people were sliding a lot more. In this gameplay, everyone is walking. Just full stand up, walking. I don't even know if we saw anybody slide yet aside from him.
I don't really know why, because I am playing.
Because you're aiming at chest, and often you'll get shot, but you'll get the elimination because you're centered properly.
The exact same way. Obviously, I'm trying to play pretty consistently between the two games. It's going to be a little bit easier, obviously, with the lower skilled lobby, but it seemed like
hey, that guy slid. Nice.
I was hitting headshots a lot more consistently in the lower level games. So here are, the table. We're taking a look at this right now. It's really hard to just take a look at the numbers, and I'm going to pull up here the averages in 1 second, because the results may...
I'm so sorry. Can we... Look at this dude. Look. Hold on. Yeah, I gotta put it in slow motion. I gotta put this thing in slow motion. Hold on. 25%. He dives. And then he just lays there. He didn't even try to move. He's just yelling. He's like, all right, well, I guess that's it for me. I mean, if that doesn't show you point blank that the reason you're more accurate is because people just aren't moving, I don't know what will. These guys are very different. It will look like you are shooting laser beams if people are standing completely still, or they're crouch walking, like they're like this, or they're standing up, slowly moving to the side, because these people in the lower skills do not have as good accuracy. They do not know how to move. They they don't know how to move and shoot at the same time, right? They also most likely don't have pro controllers. They don't have back paddles, which means when they're aiming, they cannot jump or slide. Or when they're jumping or sliding, they cannot aim. These two things are one and the same whenever people are not as good. In fact, I will say point blank, one of the things that changed the way that I play is having the ability to use back paddles on my controller. I think if anything, before you change your audio, before you change your monitor, before you change anything, get a controller with back paddles and learn to use it. Learn to jump and slide while keeping your right finger or your right thumb on the analog stick. If you can do that and learn to aim at your enemies at the same time, you will be a much better player. But the issue is the guys that we're watching right here, as you can see, cannot do both at the same time, which is why you're going to see him getting a lot more eliminations, is because they are not fighting the same way that he's fighting.
Because the results may actually shock you a bit, because it does seem like there's a very clear difference in the what I would say maybe like time to kill or shots to kill between the two accounts. But if you just take a look at the gameplay itself, it just feels different.
I think the issue is that you came into this with the conclusion that skill-based damage exists, and that has flawed the way that you look at the gameplays. If you were to at least bring in an outside person that would have looked at this, and this is nothing against the guy. I want to say that, like, congrats to him for putting in all the work to, like, get this video going. This is more than anybody's done. I just want to be very clear. This is more than anybody's done. But there's a lot of things that he didn't think of, and I think what should have happened, and this is no offense to him, he probably should have had this conversation with someone beforehand, before he did all the information gathering, because it would have, like, kind of led him to probably a different thought process here.
And I'm not really sure how to explain it other than just watch the gameplay, watch some of the clips that we'll have at the end about the two different, the different engagements that I was getting in the game, but it just feels different, right? And this could obviously be attributed to the lower skill lobby, right? I mean, this is kind of something that we've seen with...
Dude, I guarantee you not one person in the entire match that he's playing on that low skilled gameplay used to stem.
People that were two boxing, self-admittedly, I definitely, partaked in that, but I mean,
that's not what this is. I just want to be very clear. Two boxing is not playing on a lower leveled account. That is considered smurfing. I know that sounds goofy, and it's technically something that is only a problem in ranked. You should not smurf to play in easier lobbies in ranked. If you're playing in regular matches, there is nothing wrong with playing in easier matches. And look, I know this is going to piss people off. If you want to hear my full opinion on it, go watch my video where I talk about skill-based matchmaking. But there realistically is nothing wrong with it if you're playing in these lobbies, because it should be just connection-based. And it's goofy that we even have to have any of these conversations about skill-based damage, skill-based this, skill-based that. Like, I think it's stupid. It's very dumb that we're having these conversations.
It just feels different. The game feels different. It almost feels like the actual aim assist is stronger on the lower level account, but that is going to be extremely hard to test for. So here are the differences between, the average shots to kill between, the different accounts. And I ran, both the median and the mean. So, overall, the median numbers for the, XM4 class that I was using was 4 shots to kill. That's pretty consistent with what...
So just to be clear, average STK is average shot to kill. Average STA is average shot to assist.
You would see in kind of like the damage charts. But if you take a look at the actual mean between the two accounts, it's pretty significantly lower on the low skill account. So we have a 3.46 on, the shots to kill for the low scale account, whereas you see more close to the median on the high skill count, which is about 3.9. So
I'm kind of curious, did he account for accuracy like at all in this? Like in the slightest? I know that that's kind of the idea of this video, but like, I feel like just looking at your accuracy would have been a good idea with this.
So, like I mentioned, I'm not doing a full analysis here, so I can't say if this really is statistically significant or not, but it feels different. And I think that's the one thing to highlight in this whole video is the game feels different for different people. And you can even see here, I did shots to assist as well. I accounted for that. And right, what you would think is, if you're going to get an assist, maybe you put like 1 or 2 bullets into them and you don't get the full kill, you get the elimination still, but it counts as kind of like an assist, right? That, on average is also lower for the low skill account.
I wonder, like, let's say he was to go through and actually measure out the distance. I mean, even if it was with a ruler just on his screen by inches or by centimeters, if he was to actually measure out the distance of how far away his shots that missed were on the low skilled account and how far away the shots that missed were on the high skill account, I almost guarantee that on the high skill account, his misses would be much further away or farther away from the target. And the reason I say that is because, again, these guys are going to be sliding and jumping, and he's naturally going to be farther away because they are trying to evade his shots, where the other guys are not doing that. They are slowly walking into his shots, which is why when they're slowly walking and you're slowly walking, you will get that aim assist once again.
Compared to the high skill account. So, the high skill account has a 1.66 repeating, where, the low skill account has, kind of like a 1.25, which is very interesting, where you would see, and, the median is about 1, but it just feels like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. And, I think a lot of people are noticing this, and a lot of people are attributing it to kind of, the desync, the net code, all of these different things, where I'm having, pretty, I have data here that is showing that there is some inconsistencies. Now, what I would really like to see is...
I want to be very clear. I would love to subscribe to this. This is one of those things where it's like big company, big multi-billion-dollar company that I hate watching them actively go out of their way to manipulate their audience. I hate it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it in every capacity. But this is one of those things that I don't think has found a place to really be real, basically. I think, again, there's so many variables, and it's not just, in his case, it's not just your internet. Like, you're not accounting, again, for the latency of the other players. You physically cannot do that. You're not accounting for the load of the server, right? You'd assume that the server is good, but the issue is, time and time again, we see in Warzone that you can hop into one server, it's fine. You hop into a different server, same time of night, it's chalked. Same number of players, same everything. The issue is you cannot account for so many variables, and the things that he's trying to prove right here look good if you like. It's like if I squint my eyes, it makes sense. But if I actually open my eyes and kind of look at everything around it, all right, I'm kind of seeing that maybe this is falling apart just a little bit at the seams.
Compiling, hundreds, maybe thousands of different gameplays together, and maybe we can coordinate this across the community to really pull out some solid numbers.
I think, again, I actually think that this is a great jumping off point. I want to be very clear. I think his content right here, this video, is a great jumping off point. I think that he was by himself. He didn't have somebody looking over his shoulder to make sure, like, what about this? 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 He tried to account for everything, and I respect the hell out of that. This man worked his ass off to get this information. I want to be very clear. This man probably spent multiple days trying to put together this information, and I don't mean to sit here and just all over it, but I just want to be very clear. If you are going to try to account for everything, you really do have to have a team of people to come in, like he's mentioning here. You need a team of people to come in and come together and try and figure out every single variable, every variable physically possible that could be accounted for, and try to account for that. Even if that means everybody tries to queue at the same time or something like that to get into a lobby. Some people are high level, some people are low level. You VPN into a very specific server, whatever it may be. There are so many different ways to come up with these variables, and some variables you can't even come up with. You physically cannot figure out some of these variables because of the way that the matchmaking system works. And that's why one of these, these things like skill-based damage just can't be proven one way or the other. You can't prove it, whether it's real or not. You can feel a specific way. You can, and I want to be very clear. I talk about this a lot. You may feel a specific way about something. It does not necessarily mean that it's the truth. And without facts, it just doesn't matter. Don't sit here and get upset that someone doesn't respect your opinion, because God knows that if you believe that skill-based damage is real and you're watching me say, I don't know, I wish it was, but it doesn't seem like it, you're probably pissed in the comments right now. You have to recognize your opinion may not matter to somebody, and you may not care about their opinion. So it kind of goes both ways, and it's a two-way street right here.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is evidence. I hope, people here kind of find it interesting. And like I mentioned, we'll kind of go through and zoom in on some of the different gunfights that I got in each individual game. But it does seem like there are some differences between the two accounts, just from a hit registration perspective, maybe even an aim assist perspective as well. So I don't know, man. This game seems to have a lot of issues, and it kind of sucks because, you know, I've played this game to Master Prestige, and now I'm kind of at a point where I don't really want to play it anymore. You know, it just seems like I'm being manipulated, or the game is being manipulated in a way to kind of even out the playing field. And this goes beyond.
So this is exactly what I was saying earlier, is that I believed that he went into this under the assumption that skill-based damage exists. And he used specific variables while leaving out others, not on purpose. I'm not saying he left them out on purpose. That's absolutely not what I'm trying to get at. But I think that he used specific variables that he could come up with. And because he left out those other variables, it kind of leads you to one conclusion whenever that may not be the case. And I think that's exactly what he's saying right now, is that he feels that he's being manipulated. And again, it comes down to feelings. You may feel that you're being manipulated, but there's physically no way unless they give us evidence. And the only thing that we have evidence for is engagement optimized matchmaking. That is the one thing that we have evidence for. And if we want to like be pissed and shout from the rooftops about that, absolutely do it. But right now, we don't have enough evidence for this. I highly recommend people continue to do research on things like this guy's doing. Again, this is a great jumping off point. I would love it if y'all would go to this guy's video and show some freaking love. Give this man as much love as you physically can. Again, I'm gonna show to you his channel is The Cat Man. He's got 80 subscribers, and I'm telling you, like, I think this is a great jumping off point. I think he could use some help. So if there's anybody with just a metric at a time, I would greatly appreciate it. You go help the guy, try and help him towards reaching something like this, or at least just drop comments on his video about, hey, let's try to account for this variable. Can we account for this variable? How do we account for this variable? And just try to work together as a community, because I love to actually find how to do this, because there's people out there like Blame Truth who are constantly shouting from rooftops, we're being manipulated, and god dang it, we are. But I don't know if this is the thing that's manipulating us here today. So that's what I'm saying, is I really want to do my best to like put together people and, you know, send them the right way so that everybody can work together to figure out what variables actually need to be accounted for and how we can account for those variables. And for this guy's sake, I hope that he doesn't continue focusing on whether or not he feels a specific way, and really just go in and try and figure out the truth of the matter.
On just the skill-based matchmaking, this seems to have affected maybe the aim assist, maybe even the actual, you know, shots to kill, the actual damage. It just seems very, very odd. All right, and what I've done here is I've actually compiled a bunch of the different clips from the gameplays. I'm just going to alternate between the two, and you're going to notice right off the bat, and I was just watching these videos again, I mean, it's absolutely insane how inconsistent the gunfights are between the two accounts. One thing that I've noticed, we're just kind of slowing down these clips, and I welcome people to actually watch this on like a lower speed even. Just watch the aim assist. The aim assist seems so much more snappy, so much more accurate, especially when people are moving on the lower skill account. It's actually kind of insane. Like right here, I'm just off on my shots, but I'm still getting hit markers. And then you go to the high skill gameplay, and I mean, I'm barely even getting any aim assists on this guy.
Yeah, so this could be the matchmaking system. And I hate to be that guy, but while you are sitting on 5 ping, these other dudes got thrown into your lobby and you have no freaking clue what their ping is. You have no idea, right? So you hop in and they could be on a higher latency. And whether or not, like, most likely when someone has a higher latency now, and with the Black Ops 6 like version of the game, there seems to be a higher amount of lag compensation, meaning that they actually get compensated for having that high ping. So they will hit their shots, but it'll be harder for you to hit your shots because what you're seeing is actually kind of what's happening, while they can kind of get away with it. It's a little weird. It's a little weird, and I fully get why you're thinking like a certain thing, but also in these clips you're seeing left and right, like the guys in the high skill accounts, they're sliding, like they're slipping and sliding around. Every time you showed a clip on the low skill account, dude, they were all just like walking left to right. I think I went way too far back, but like you show the low skill account, everybody's standing straight up. Literally everybody on the low skill is just standing straight up. I think there was one dude that slid, and the one guy that slid, you were on his head and he slowly walked up and to the side. And again, That is the issue, is that we just aren't accounting for how these guys are playing, even though it's technically one of those variables that you mentioned.
Doesn't seem super obvious, but really when you slow it down, like right there, it's not tracking the way the other account is. I mean, I'm just beaming people.
And by the way, for the record, the reason the matchmaking system will cause them to have high ping is because, again, these players are going to have skill in their matchmaking bracket. There's a lot more bad players than there are good players. So this guy being a very high kill death ratio and stuff like that, they're trying to fill his lobby. And even though he's on 5 ping, there's still not a lot of people at his skill level. They're trying to fill his lobby with higher skill players. So those players may have to come from a far distance to get into his lobby, and it's going to add to that lag. That's the reason that the lag will exist. And even though it's not showing up on his end, and it might be, we just don't know because all the stuff doesn't work, but even though it's not showing up on his end, it might be showing up on their end. There's literally no way to account for that. But again, it could be the matchmaking system choosing to prioritize skill to ensure that people are engaged with the game and stuff like that, whenever in reality, every lobby should be connection-based. If every lobby was connection-based, then this might be able to be found out a little bit easier. But even then, if it was connection-based, why would they even do this? Damn it, I don't know.
Like actually beaming people. Just so much easier, and when my shots are off, they seem to snap on to the target a little bit more. Now, I don't know what goes all into the algorithm, if there is one, behind the scenes that actually causes this inconsistency, but there seems like, especially in this situation right here coming up, right? This guy's moving. I get no aim assist. Now, and a lot,
Hold
right?
on.
This guy's
moving. I get no aim assist. No. Hold
right
on.
here coming up.
Okay, real quick. Did you see that? Did you see the aim assist? Did you see it? He said he got no aim assist.
Like,
no. Let's check it out. Let's check it out.
Situation
right here. Guy crosses his path. Watch the crosshair. Look. Watch the crosshair.
Here coming.
It turns to the left
Coming up.
and then a hard jerk to the right. Did you see that? That was aim assist. You got the goddamn aim assist, my boy. I don't want to sit here and just trash your video, but you're actively like choosing what you think is happening whenever, if you actually just look at it and don't think, okay, is it happening? Is it not happening? Like, I can see from a third person perspective, like I'm looking in, I can see that you got that aim assist. The guy crossed, he crossed very quickly. You didn't get a ton of aim assist because you were not trying to track him. You were running straight ahead. You were not kind of turning toward his direction in general. Of course, when you cross aim assist, it's going to, like, you're crossing aim assist. He's going like this. You're kind of like looking to the left. It tried to pull you with him, and then you still jerk to the left because that's the way you were going to turn in the first place. And you can see it. Once again, I'll show you. We'll put this thing in slow motion from his slow motion.
Consistency, but there seems like, especially.
So I'm going to go ahead. We'll put the playback speed at 25%. We're going to mute him real quick. Okay, so right here, watch. Pull left and yoink to the right because he was pulling to the right on his analog stick. Now, he may not remember this, but I can tell you by just looking at his gameplay, he was pulling right on the analog stick. He was not trying to track that guy. He got a metric load of aim assist right there, but he didn't try to play with the aim assist, and the guy crossed past that little bubble. It's all about that little bubble. That's how aim assist works. I mean, it sucks, and I don't mean to sit here and disprove it. Like, that's not my goal in the slightest. I didn't go into this to be like, I would love to disprove skill-based damage. It's not what I want. Look, I would love to have another reason to yell at Papa Activision. I just want to be very clear. I am not a big fan of money-hungry companies that don't give a damn about their player base. That is not my thing. But I also think that we need to focus on the truth and not go in with our feelings and just focus on having a third-person perspective whenever it comes to things that even have to do with us. That is really what it comes down to. That's kind of what I base all of my content around, is trying to think of every single thing before I put something out. I try and listen to all the comments. I try and take in what people say. I try and do my research, and I respect the crap out of this guy for doing everything that he's done here. But again, it's just you really got to get that third person perspective and get somebody else to look at this.
Right, this guy's moving. I get no aim assist.
Again, you went right over him though. Like, look, you flicked hard left. That guy actually, at the exact moment that you flicked over him, was standing still and then started pulling backwards. So you really didn't get a lot of aim assist, and you pulled hard left to adjust for the guy being on your left. Because of that, you went directly over him.
Right.
By the time you like shot, you weren't in the bubble at all. His bubble's way over here. So you start shooting, and then you're fussing about aim assist when in reality, you just missed your goddamn shots, my boy.
I get no aim assist. Now, in a lot of these clips on the lower scale, and also just
that guy's standing completely still.
Just look at the headshots. I mean, I'm getting
this
way
guy,
more.
This guy, by the way, was outside the aim assist bubble. Did you notice that? He was outside the aim
lower
assist
scale,
bubble
and
right
also
here.
just look at the headshots.
Outside the aim assist bubble. He finally drags into the aim assist bubble.
I mean,
all of a sudden, he starts hitting his shots. As soon as that guy gets behind the car, you lose the aim assist bubble.
Getting way more headshots.
He goes over.
When targets are moving.
You aim over. He's direct center mass. The guy's standing and walking to the side.
It seems like I'm snapping onto them a lot easier. So we're just going to go through some of these. I mean, here's another high skill one. Lined up on these guys, get one elimination out of, you know, a potential 3-piece. So we're just going to go through some of these. I mean, here's another
two enemies. Two enemies there. He shoots one, his teammate shoots the other.
Lined up on these guys, get one elimination out of, you know, a potential 3-piece right there. It's kind of crazy. Low skill, easily tracked.
Brother! Man, come on!
Easily killed. Low skill again, easily tracked. I mean, and then also, you know, I hit a headshot. He's sliding. It just seems like the aim assist is.
On the high skill account, look at what the guy's doing.
Sliding.
The guy's sitting there trying to head glitch. He's got half his body hanging out. As he ADSs, he's got shots on the guy. He's also getting a ton of visual shake, which means it's going to be hard for him to see. He's not playing with the aim assist. He assumes the guy's on the left, so he's trying to keep his aim right there. The guy starts moving to the right. He moves behind the thing. You lose the aim assist bubble. You still get the elimination because you followed with aim assist because you got it. But let me tell you, it is much less because he's behind a wall.
Like the aim assist is a little bit better. I really have to struggle for that kill there. The low, yeah, I mean, just one shot.
Low skill account, he's one shot because there's
that kill.
Are we just going to disregard your teammate right here on the left-hand side
there
that's actively shooting at him with an RPK directly in front of him? You watched it happen.
The low, yeah, I mean,
like, brother, I don't even think you were the one that got the kill. I think somebody else got it. It just popped up elimination.
One shot, basically. And here we go again, zooming in, automatically.
That guy's standing completely still, like slowly walking backwards, bro. Like, how do I have to do this for the next 4 minutes?
Again, zooming in, automatically snaps onto the target.
I swear to God, he does this for the next 4 minutes, and every single time it's going to be the exact same. And it really sucks because, once again, I would love for this to be something that I can be like, it's real. It's 100% real. But we have no evidence to that. Every single thing that he pointed out could easily be explained by this thing, that thing, another thing. What I would love is if people can figure out all the variables, reach out to this guy. He obviously is interested in figuring this stuff out. Hell yeah, I'm with you. I think you need somebody looking over your shoulder, big man, because this just does not work. It doesn't make sense. And the way that you're looking at it is a little bit flawed. I think also you need somebody with a similar mindset, you know, like they're good at the game, like similar talent level, not mindset, a similar talent level with the opposite mindset, really. They think the exact opposite so that they can point things out to you that you're going to believe are one thing when in reality, it could be because this other thing, or even someone that's a lot better than you that can kind of point these things out to you. So I think that that's one of those things where you really have to have somebody looking over your shoulder. But I mean, I'd love to know your comments down below. I mean, this is in multiplayer, so maybe we can find something in Warzone in the future so that we can look at that. But I think a lot of these things are pretty explainable. Pretty much everything that we watched in today's video was very explainable just by seeing how the aim assist bubble worked. But either way, let me know your thoughts in a comment down below. Obviously, go show this guy some love. He worked his ass off for this video. I didn't mean to sit there and just absolutely all over it. That was not my goal in the slightest. That was not my goal. I didn't go into this thinking that's what was going to happen. I thought we were going to look at a ton of data, but really it came down to a lot of it being like, I had these feelings going in and I tried to affirm these feelings with data. But the issue is when you try and do that, it ends up being a little flawed. It's the same reason that Warzone 2 sucked. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Warzone 2 sucked because they had all this data, but they didn't actually think about how the players felt about this data, right? Like that's the big thing. So if you have to have both together and have somebody else looking over your shoulder to see, is that really true? Like you need somebody to help you out with this. And that's what I'd say. But either way, thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate y'all. Make sure to check out my video on skill-based matchmaking. It is on the channel. It's the truth about skill-based matchmaking. We discussed a tactical Brit video, went way deep into that one. But either way, thanks so much, and I'll catch you in the next one.